Today is October 2nd, 2023. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, late last week actually, California Senator Dianne Feinstein passed away at the age of 90. And yesterday, the state's governor, Gavin Newsom, appointed a woman named LaFonza Butler to be her replacement, to finish out Feinstein's term, which would end in December of 2024. Feinstein announced quite a while ago that she was not going to run for re-election in 2024. So currently there are 3 Democrats who are running for the nomination for Senate. And this LaFonza Butler is not one of those 3. So she would, in a sense, be like a caretaker senator to finish out Feinstein's term. Okay, so who is this Ms. Butler? Well, she is a civil rights and a labor union activist. And she's also worked on Kamala Harris's staff at some point. Most concerning, though, is that in 2021, she became the president of Emily's List. So you may be asking, so what is Emily's List? Well, Emily's List is a radical pro-abortion organization that raises money for and supports pro-choice Democratic women for elective office at state and the federal levels. So the issue here is that they support Democratic women. Democratic women. You could be a pro-abortion Republican theoretically running against a pro-life Democrat, like in Congress. And you, the Republican, the pro-abortion Republican, would not get a penny, because Emily's List only endorses pro-choice Democratic women, not Democratic men, but Democratic women, strictly for Democratic women who are obviously pro-choice. So this Butler gal, she's obviously, with being the head of Emily's List, she's a hardcore pro-abortion zealot, beyond the point of viability. She just falls in line with that pro-abortion mentality. But it's also interesting too that in this day when you see a lot of Democrats really kind of falling in line with this identity politics stuff, that the appointment of this woman, LaFonza Butler, is that Democrats Gavin Newsom can check off 4 boxes by picking her. Number 1, she's a black woman, and he already said that he was going to pick a black woman to replace Feinstein if they needed to. 2, she's very progressive. She's not a moderate like Joe Biden claims to be a liberal, a moderate. She's a very, very progressive woman. 3, she's pro-abortion. She's pro-choice, and the Democratic Party is just worships at the altar of abortion rights. And number 4, she's a lesbian. And the Democratic Party is consumed with the whole alphabet people agenda. And it just fits right in line with their thinking. Oh yeah, we have to have a black lesbian. So that's who the new senator-elect, or new Senator Butler from California. And it's not like her appointment is going to make the Democratic Party more pro-abortion, more liberal. And that's not, because Dianne Feinstein was a liberal's liberal. She was very 100% pro-choice, 100%. So they're not gaining ground, they're not losing ground. It's just it's a wash. Okay, next item. Good news coming out of Idaho. The state has passed a strong heartbeat bill, and it was challenged by Planned Parenthood, but the state Supreme Court rejected Planned Parenthood's lawsuit, and the law remained. But then a federal judge stepped in and blocked the bill from being enforced. But that was challenged by the state of Idaho to the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit out in San Francisco, which historically has been a very liberal court. But the Ninth Circuit ruled against the lower court, and they have agreed to, they said that the state of Idaho can fully enforce its abortion ban. So that's a great win for the state of Idaho. Now, the opposite happened in Montana. A new law required that abortion clinics could be licensed by the state. But a state judge stepped in and has placed a temporary restraining order blocking enforcement on the law. So what's in this law in Montana? Here's what the chief sponsor said, quote, "No one can operate an abortion clinic without applying for and receiving a license from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services. It also directs the department to establish rules for operating a clinic, including things like staff qualifications, required equipment, the layout of an abortion clinic, and a requirement for regular inspections," unquote. Well, that sounds like pretty common sense legislation, safety standards, licensing, making sure your staff is qualified. But somehow, we always see this now, these requirements are unacceptable to people who are trying to protect abortion from seeing any reasonable restriction or regulation to kind of put a check on access to abortion. Okay. Just want to close with two things. First is, and this is kind of an aside from the current news of the day, pro-abortion people assert that they represent the majority of Americans. They speak for the medical and the scientific community about the issue, that the unborn baby in the womb is not really a human being. The focus is on the woman, her rights, her aspirations, her future. But they appeal to science, but they appeal to science that the unborn baby is not a human being deserving of protection. So I got to thinking about that idea, that they're appealing to science that the unborn child is not human. Well, back in the 1850s and through the 1880s, the vast majority of American physicians not only became pro-life, but pressured state governments to pass very strict anti-abortion laws, to ban abortion, really, for most states, from the moment of conception. Did they do this because they hated women? Did they do this because they wanted to withhold rights for pregnant women? No. They were pressuring state governments to pass stricter laws because in the middle of the 19th century, these physicians, they'd begun to learn more and more about the structure of the cell and more information about fetal development and human reproduction. And it was because of these new discoveries, these new advancements in science, that led to doctors pushing aside perhaps their previous views about the lack of the humanity of the fetal of the baby, and they became pro-life because medical science told them that this was a baby, this was a human being, and they were protecting the baby as soon as they could determine that a woman was pregnant, the baby was going to be protected. So it's interesting. I say here, in 1860, science led doctors to become pro-life. Now in the 21st century, science is leading doctors to support the killing of unborn babies. So I see a disconnect here between what the doctors used to think and what they're thinking today. Not all doctors today, because there's a lot of pro-life doctors. So I don't want to just say carte blanche, they're all pro-abortion. They're not. But you talk to the medical societies and the medical organizations, and in general, most of them are pro-abortion. They are. These associations, these pro-abortion physicians need to put their ideology, their ideological liberalism on the shelf and pick up their scientific hats once again. Science will tell them that the unborn baby is a human being and has been since conception. Okay, my last item, November 8, 2023, Lansing, Michigan, the March for Life. I've talked about this a few times before. Pro-lifers are going to gather at the state capitol building, hear speeches, go for a short march. And Camels Who Right to Life has reserved buses. There is room for you on these buses. We need to hear from you. I need to hear from you so I can save you a seat. I'm going to give you my email address. I did it last week. I'll do it again. It is RC, then my last name. So it's RCKARRER at sbcglobal.net. So it's rccar at sbcglobal.net. Please send me an email if you want to attend. We really need people to show up for this. We want to show the governor that not everybody is pro-choice. We do. We need to give them a message that the pro-life movement is alive and we are flourishing in this state. We're not retreating one single bit after losing on Prop 3. Send me an email. Tell me you want to go, and I'll save you a seat, and I can contact you and get you more information. November 8th, the March for Life in Lansing, Michigan. And as I've said before, be there or be square. With that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time.